We're continuing on in our local church details movie video series, and so what we're going to do is pick up again with deacons. And so last time, Jason, we were talking about sort of the fact that deacon is another office in the church, really the secondary office. So there's two offices: elder, deacon. They're of equal stature.
Yes.
One is not above or below the other.
Right.
But it's really an issue of gifting. Like one group is gifted to teach, another group is gifted to serve, and those two are equal with one another.
Absolutely.
So a couple questions. When we talk about serving, what are the specific, are there specific areas where deacons would serve? Or is it just sort of general? What does that service look like?
Well, the Bible interestingly doesn't outline these are the areas that deacons should serve in. It does kind of leave it up, I think, to the elders to ultimately decide. But I think we get a kind of a clearer indication based on Acts 6, right? So they were helping serve in the administration of the meals and to the widows. Yeah. So that's one. And then also the fact that they are not in word and prayer ministry specifically, or overseeing those things, or actively leading those things. Not that they can't participate in those things. So that leads, I think, most churches who do have deacons and hold to conservative views to believe that deacons would serve in administrative type of functions, where it's if you will, pure service ministries, where they're not necessarily regularly teaching the Bible. Not that they couldn't, but they're not teaching the Bible, and they're not actively shepherding people. Right? It doesn't mean that they could never do any of those things in any capacity. You know, we don't want to be too absolutist about that, but because, like you said, it's a gift of the Spirit, and it's a gift of Christ. So we don't want to put people in positions where they're basically set up to fail, because they're not right for that. You know, and they're not spiritually wired, gifted that way, and
sort of a square peg in a round hole.
And when you put them in that position, when you put someone who is not gifted to teach in a teaching position, it's not that they're just going to be bad at it. It's going to actually hurt themselves and hurt the church.
Yeah, they just get sad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so then that principle. So we have. So you could have a guy who potentially might be a very good teacher, but isn't necessarily spiritually gifted in that role, or maybe might not even want to do that.
Exactly.
Who might be a much better deacon than an elder at the end of the day.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, you could have someone who could serve here and there, let's say in children's ministry or youth group, or let's say they taught here and there at care group. Yeah. That doesn't mean they have to become, or that they are or need to become elders necessarily, but they could still teach. And yet their primary area of responsibility would be somewhere else, not in sort of direct word and prayer type ministries, dealing with people and teaching the word.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so then we talked about how elders are chosen. How are deacons chosen?
So deacons, 1 Timothy 3:10 says these men must also first be tested, and then let them serve as deacons. So if they are beyond reproach, very important there. Same word for elders, right? Being above reproach. So the idea is that their character is proven over time as they are serving in a variety of capacities, and you get to know the person. Just like with an elder, in one sense, I think the process is a little different, but still, you want to know the character of the man before you put him into an office, which also then goes back to what you said at the beginning. It is a very important office of equal spiritual, if you will, stature before God in the church. And so we don't want to mess around with that or hold it loosely or just say, well, they're just, he's just serving in facilities, so what does it matter if he's really gifted or have character? As long as he's a decent guy, then that's it. But we want to know if he can actually flourish in that role, because Christ has gifted him to serve in a specific way. And I think you can only see not only the gifting, but the fruit of the Spirit, the character of the man over time, just like with any other sort of leadership role, I would think.
Yeah, that makes good sense. Yeah, so then that testing, so what's gonna happen is a person's gonna come into the church, let's say, and begin to serve. Right. And that service will be proven. So we're proving or identifying that man as a proven servant, who's then capable of then leading ministries of service. Yeah,
and I think the elders, along with the local church, the people in the church, will collectively see that, and they'll affirm it. And that's the same thing. I think we would say about elders. It's not, they don't appoint themselves. They don't just stumble into it, but there's a collective group affirmation. Hey, that person's gifted by God to serve in this way.
Yeah. So that identification process is actually functionally happening in the whole church. Everyone. So in a sense, when a man becomes a deacon, when we lay hands on a man as a deacon, we're actually identifying him in that role. Yeah. But the whole church should say, "Oh yeah, for sure, he's a deacon." That makes sense.
Right. There shouldn't be a disconnect between the two groups saying this guy's gifted, and the other group is like, no, I don't see anything at all. Yeah. The Spirit doesn't work that way. I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. So. Yeah. Okay, that's super helpful. Well, thanks for that. So next time we'll talk about deaconesses. So you might want to vote up on the next.
What do you mean?
Chapter 3, starting in verse 11. So we're gonna have some fun stuff there. Well, thanks for your help on this one. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah.